What is up, L's and G's? Welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today we've got more Yu-Gi-Oh news. This is really cool. We got an announcement for another Structure Deck R. This one is Lost Sanctuary. This is really cool. If you don't know what the Structure Deck R series is, over the last 2 years, the OCG has been going back through some of their more popular structure decks that no matter how long ago they are. We got the Dragoonity one redone. They got, because the OCG got them. We got the cards imported afterwards. We didn't get the structure deck though. Then they did the Warrior Strike structure deck, which is really cool. It's how we got Phoenix Gearfried and some of those cards, kind of half of what the Infernoble deck does. Which is really cool. So this is the next one up, Lost Sanctuary. If you were a fan of fairies, this is huge for you. There's not a ton of information here otherwise. It's announced to come out in the OCG August 7th. So we're pretty far away, right? That's what, 3.5 months just for the OCG to get the cards, but it is still exciting, and it is always going to be fun to take a look at these things and just want to start already theorizing what kind of stuff we could see. So that's really all the information that came out, pretty much a date and the fact that we're getting it. Which makes me want to go back and look at this structure deck real quick. Nothing too crazy, but really this was the introduction of the whatever you want to call this archetype, Sanctuary in the Sky deck, the agents, with Master Hyperion as their boss monster. Still not the worst boss monster ever, to be honest, but I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a retrain. One other thing that is mentioned here, I think, that is pretty interesting is, let me see if I can find it here. Yeah, the main deck includes 40 cards, but this time around, there are also multiple monster cards for the extra deck included. Now, that's really cool. The deck already has some interesting pieces that could somehow support an extra deck, monster or 2 or 3, I don't know. So it'd be cool that they might actually try and incorporate that. But yeah, as far as Master Hyperion goes, summons himself from hand by banishing any agent from hand, field, or grave. That's pretty easy summoning conditions right there. And once per turn, you can banish a light fairy to target a card on the field and destroy it. So it's just a once per turn pop. Not the greatest thing on the field, in the world. But while Sanctuary in the Sky is on the field, he can do it twice per turn. Fine, he wipes boards. He's still honestly not a terrible card, all things considered. Easy to summon, easy to trigger to get a pop and potentially pop twice. But I wouldn't be surprised if they try to do just a more modern version, maybe something that gives you some kind of disruption, a floodgate effect, something that hinders your opponent more, because that is one thing this deck really doesn't have much of. Or at least the original structure deck doesn't. You also have a couple of the agents that are really cool. I think the most interesting one, I'm trying to remember which ones I'm thinking of. I think Jupiter, Earth, and of course Venus are the most important ones. So Jupiter can banish an agent from grave to select a fairy monster, gains 800. No. Okay, the other one is, while Sanctuary of the Sky is on the field, you can discard a fairy to special summon a banished fairy. So, not the worst, but it is an extender, sort of, that way. Venus is a huge one. Venus is the main card you look at out of this entire structure, and you're like, yo, if they just built more stuff around Venus, this deck could be insane. Venus pays 500 life points to summon a mystical shine ball from hand or deck, not once per turn. Just as long as you have life points, you can just keep summoning shine balls and just link spam. We've seen it with World Chalice and stuff. Very strong. And the last one is, Earth. Yeah, Earth is the other one. Actually, the only good normal summon in the deck, other than Venus, of course, right? But when it's normal summon, you can add any agent from deck to hand. That definitely opens up a lot of possibilities for the deck that you already kind of just have a Stratos, right? So if they just make a couple more agent monsters, now they're all based off of planets. I wonder how many planets they could still do, right? We have Earth, Jupiter, Saturn, Mercury, Venus, Mars, and I think there was one more monster that was made after this. I think it's Uranus. There. So technically there's 2 more if they still want to use Pluto. I don't know if they want to use Pluto, but so technically there's still some viability there. It searches Venus, but as long as you have any other way to put Venus on the field, we're looking at something solid. And if Sanctuary on the Sky is on the field, you can add a Master Hyperion. I don't know where they want to go with this. There's so many things. One thing that is interesting is Sanctuary in the Sky. I think there's a couple routes they could go with this, because clearly this deck is very much built around Sanctuary in the Sky. Do they make a retrain that like counts as Sanctuary in the Sky while it's on the field? I think there's already a card like that, but that's more so like a counter fairy card, not really a agent card as much. So maybe they make a new version that still counts as Sanctuary in the Sky on the field, right? That actually just does more. I think all that Sanctuary does is like saves you life points. Battle damage to controller of fairy monster in battle is 0. So if you have fairy, you don't take battle damage essentially. Fine, like it's not great at all, obviously, or I think the other route they could do, and we've seen this, we actually just saw this very recently, is with like adding Nisters. And I look to the right because I actually have my deck box for adding Nister stuff waiting for Lightning Overdrive. But they had a field spell the deck's built around, but it's not really a field spell you want to play 3 of. So they just gave it a link 1 that just lets you search it for free. We've seen it with rockets, being able to search the rocket field spell. We've seen it with Salamangreats, getting you Sanctuary. Sanctuary is not a good card. You don't want to play it at 3, but it makes the deck inherently better just based off of how the deck functions. This is the same thing. All of your agents get slightly better when this card's on the field. So maybe it's just a 1 of, but maybe they just give the deck like a link 1. Any agent monster can go right into the link 1, and the link 1 just searches you Sanctuary on summon. That would work, right? That would be really cool. And they just mentioned we're getting extra deck monsters. So just some thoughts there on like what we could see happen. Like I expect something, some kind of revamp or some kind of addition, whether it's a revamped version of Sanctuary in the Sky or something that just makes it way more accessible. It's not that accessible, really. You'd never want to play more than one of this card. Ideally, you just want to be able to get it super easily. So that's like the main goal there, I would think. And yeah, I'm sure there'll be 1 or 2 more monsters. A new Master Hyperion would be crazy. Also keep in mind the possibility of an extra deck Master Hyperion version. So maybe it's a link 2, link 3, maybe even a link 4. Hopefully not. This deck isn't super link spammy other than Venus. But maybe they give him a boss monster for Hyperion. Just takes 2+ fairies. It's a link 3 maybe, and it has some pretty strong like fairy boosting effects, or maybe even specifically agent effects. There, but that's kind of what I'm hoping for. I just want to talk about that. I'm sure we'll get some spells and traps as well. Maybe a search card, something, maybe a searchable disruption card. I don't know. Wait, do you search? He searches a monster specifically. So, okay, searches specifically monsters, not an agent card. So there's no realm for them making like a searchable just agent spell or trap there, but still, I think this is really cool. This is always one of those archetypes I thought was really cool. I've used Venus before, obviously, in World Chalice, and I've seen cards like him and been like, wow, that's just a Stratos. The targets aren't that great at the moment, but maybe down the line there will be. So I'm just keeping an open mind. Obviously, we'll find out in the upcoming months. Like I said, the OCG is even 3.5 months away from this, so we probably won't get stuff revealed for another 1.5 to 2 months. We might get like the first cards revealed. So, you know, sit back, sit tight, keep it in mind, and theorize with me. So I guess I'll end the video off with that. So let me know in the comment section down below what you would like to see, where you would like to see Konami go with whatever they plan on doing to revamp this structure deck, because I think this is a hit. I think this is awesome. I think this is a great pick. I'm a big fan of fairies, although they never seem to turn out as great outside of like some ritual stuff. So I'd love to see another deck become like really interesting, or maybe just generic fairy stuff that makes just random archetypes like weather painters or any other just like decent fairy archetype just a little bit better. I would like that as well. So yeah, well, let me know in the comment section down below what you're thinking on that. Other than that, I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you want to see more news video discussions in the future and such and stuff. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.